precious heritage. We must go to the election and choose the officers we want. We must choose them well and wisely. We'll regret it if we don't. Thus began a poem written by my mother, Laura Baxter, for her brother, Homer Beliles, who was running for county court clerk in Butler County, Kentucky, 1925. That was the only sound advice in the poem. The rest of the poem chronicled Uncle Homer's having been shot down by the Germans and losing one leg, which kept him from being able to do a farmer's work. But the last line says, he'll make a dandy county clerk. He may or may not have made a dandy county clerk. Certainly the fact that he lost his leg did not qualify him for office. He was running against an incumbent who had held the office for several terms. The man had joked to some of his friends that Homer Beliles would shake that empty trouser leg a long time before he shook it in the county clerk's office. Uncle Homer came to Mother, his older sister, a few days before the election and voiced his discouragement. His opponent had money and knew everybody in the county. Homer was losing, and he had borrowed money to make the race. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall, with wavy black hair, brown eyes, and a resonant bass voice. I remember him as being a good-looking man with a powerful physique. His left leg was off at the hip. Mother was furious when she heard about his opponent's slur to the empty trouser leg. This was her brother. My mother was at her best when she was defending an underdog or leading a righteous battle. She wrote a poem 3 days before the election. Uncle Homer only had enough money in his campaign treasury to print, on the cheapest paper, enough copies to give one to each schoolchild in Butler County. She had pulled out all the stops. He was shot down in November, the day his loving father died. 3 days hence, his loving mother lay silent by his father's side. And one who offered not his service, his poor empty trouser leg has slurred. One of the opponent's campaigners said, "You can't electioneer against them GD things. People set their dogs on you." I don't think Uncle Homer won by much, but he won. Later he ran for Congress for a 2-year term, but was not elected. Many years later, I was riding with him between Morgantown and Bowling Green, and he said that he got that road built. He must have at least fancied he had some political clout. We can smile at the lack of sophistication of the voters in 1925, who emotionally elected my uncle county court clerk, a man who, though he later went to law school, at the time only had an 8th grade education. Are we any more sophisticated today? The campaign managers are still manipulating our emotions, not with poetry broadsides, but with television images and sound bites. Each election day, I go to the election, but I can't choose the officers I want, because I usually don't want any of them. I may not have anything against the candidate personally, but I won't like the people and causes that have given them money and support him. I never know anybody who was reared an honest farmer on an honest farmer's farm, and I have become cynical about all politicians. I always try to choose well and wisely, but I'm aware I often regret the vote I cast. I always vote, however, because my judgment, admittedly flawed, is as good as anybody else's. My right to vote is my precious American heritage, and I would not sit out an election for any amount of money.